Good. You want to know what they are?
Yeah, let's see.
Okay.
So let's start at the end. This one with the X on it.
You're going to try and guess.
No.
So, yes.
No.
Right, Christy, so let's just go introduce that whole experiment that we did.
Okay.
We went through, we did 5 buckets. We basically broken it up into 3 videos. Okay, we did the introductory, what we were doing, and then we did a second video of halfway through.
And then we did the analysis of each with a blind tasting.
That was right at the end. So that's going to follow now at the end of this introduction. And you didn't know which meads were
it was completely, Brian racked them off and put them in glasses and labelled them with.
You were actually away in Cape Town at that meat competition or something like that, yeah.
Anyway, so we came back and we did a blind tasting and we involved Colleen from our shop and also our accounts lady, our admin lady. So it was fun. Yeah. So we all got to taste the different meads and basically judged them and gave scores to see which ones were the best ones. So, remind me, which one was the best overall?
No, well, don't say it now. Let them see at the end. So,
surprise!
Try and see if you can guess before we get to the results at the end. And see if you got it right.
Let's remind them. So basically we used bread yeast, brewer's yeast, champagne yeast, red wine yeast, and cider yeast. Yeah. So it was those 5. And then the circumstances were same honey, same amount of water, same recipe, everything. And it was kept in exactly the same place for exactly the same amount of time.
Same time.
And they were all completely different.
Yeah. So
super fun.
So the point that we wanted to get to was, does the yeast really make a difference?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And it so does matter.
Yeah. So,
why don't you guess which one you think did the worst and which one you think did the best? Yeah. If you're a mead maker yourself, I'm sure that you'll know maybe a little bit about it. And
because we would have never guessed ourselves. We kind of, I mean, our normal, in the past, our go-to was?
Bread yeast.
Bread yeast and a brewer's yeast combined. Hey?
Yes, yeah.
All right. So
that's still what we use.
Yeah. But anyway, have a look at the video, see what you think, and remember, while they were doing the testing, they had no clue which one was which. I was the only one that knew what was in each glass and how they were scoring it. And it's funny that when you did the clarity, you looked at the clarity, and then you did the aroma.
Then we did the taste and the aftertaste.
Yeah, and across all 4 of those tests, they kind of had more or less the same ranking each time.
Yeah.
So the one that came last on all of
on everything.
Tests.
Yeah.
So
okay, don't give it away.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Right. Watch the video.
Don't forget to watch to the end so that you see the final results, and then don't forget to subscribe to our channel
and comment. Let us know what yeast you use, because we'd love to. If you do use a different type of yeast, let us know, and then maybe we put it into another.
Maybe make another experiment.
Yeah.
I love making experiments.
Okay. So the day of reckoning. So the mead that we did up top there, you'll all remember we did the video about the different types of yeast. All the same honey, same bucket, same temperature, same weather conditions, same fruit quantities, everything exactly the same.
Except the yeast.
Excepting the yeast, correct.
The yeast are all different. So we had the cider yeast, we had champagne yeast, we had brewer's yeast, the normal standard one that you'd use for kombucha. We had also bread yeast and wine yeast.
So 5 different types.
5 different types of yeast, and this is the results. They all look very similar. Some of them look a little bit darker than others. But yeah, they're looking beautiful, nice and clear. This one's a little bit cloudy in comparison to the others, but all the others look pretty clear.
Quite clear,
Yeah, if I were to judge them, I would be like that.
Okay. So what would you say? Okay, well, give us a breakdown, because we all want to know how it's done.
I would say on clarity, these 3 look very similar. They're almost completely clear.
Yeah.
Not any particles or anything in there, so that's good. And then these ones just are slightly more cloudy. Probably need a couple more days or maybe another week to clarify.
And the same process was involved with all of them, so there was no favoritism or anything like that.
What? There was favoritism? No, there was no favoritism. They were all treated exactly the same.
All right.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so the clarity is very much the same. I mean, it could be the difference could be passed on maybe just during the racking off process or something like that.
It might also be that some of the yeasts leave behind a little bit more sediment than others.
Finer. Okay.
So sometimes you do find little bits of yeast sitting on top of the of the mead before we bottle.
So what would we do to those that aren't as clear? What would just leave it a couple,
Time, just
little bit longer?
More time, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Remember, these are all very young. They're under. I mean, they were brewed.
There's a date on it.
There's a date, 14th of July.
Yeah.
Most mead you'll only bottle it maybe 3 months after.
Okay.
So July, August, September. We're only 2 months in.
Yeah.
So it's still probably
They could still stand.
Another month
Okay.
bottling, yeah.
Fantastic. All right. What's the next thing we're going to look at then?
Okay, so then we're going to look at aroma.
That's where you stick your nose inside the glass,
In there. Give it a good smell. Interesting, that one is a. So they don't all smell the same, do they? Yeah,
And
it's
they
got a
made
very fruity smell.
exactly the same.
There you go.
This one I can't smell much.
Me too.
Not as strong as the first one.
Yeah.
This one's fruity.
Okay, so let's make it simple. The best smelling or the best smelling and the one that's got the most
Least
bland
aroma,
smell.
yeah.
Yeah. Least amount of aroma.
This one also has not got much.
So I think the first one had a very strong floral sort of aroma to it. The others not as much.
Which one? This one
also
over
has a
here.
bit of aroma, but not as much as the first one, but a little bit. This one you can hardly smell
You can hardly
anything.
smell anything.
This one has a bit of a like an alcohol smell. Yeah, so it has got an aroma, but it's not what you'd be looking for, I think, in the mead. You don't want to necessarily smell the alcohol. You want to smell the honey.
The one thing we need to bear in mind with this this experiment is that this is a semi-sweet going to dry, and you're a fan of the sweet meads. So
more in the flavor profile
flavour.
of the sweet.
Okay.
But I mean, at the end of the day, no matter whether you're making a sweet mead or a dry mead,
Yeah.
you still want to have a good honey smell on it.
Flavour,
You want to have
smell.
some kind of aroma on it.
Okay.
So this one, the first one, definitely, I've smelled them all twice, has definitely got a much more floral aroma to it. And then this one over here has almost a complete alcohol smell.
okay. So what is that? That's
I don't know.
the X.
That's the
Okay.
X,
All right.
yeah.
X. And you would say
This one
the
is S.
S, and then maybe the second best,
That's-
O or T.
They're pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same, hey?
Yeah.
O and T.
Yeah.
All right. So and then we've got a floater
And
over
then a
there.
floater,
Oh, that's
yeah.
that's a Y.
The
All
Y.
right. Okay. All right. Good. Yep. Okay. So we've got the winner on the aroma is the S.
Right,
Let's
now
go and
the
have a
next
look.
one, the next two things that we're going to taste on is going to be, we're going to obviously taste the flavor, and then we want to feel what that aftertaste is.
Okay.
We don't want to have an alcoholic taste at the end. You want to have a nice sort of flavor that lingers.
So two parts of it: the flavor and then the aftertaste.
Yes.
Okay,
We're all
cool.
going to share one glass. We'll just turn it as we go.
Yeah.
It's very nice. It's leaning actually more, tastes a bit more sweet than.
Oh, really?
Yeah, then I wouldn't say
Okay.
it's between sweet, semi-sweet and dry.
Yeah.
I'd say it's more between.
When I racked it off, it was quite harsh, but I think the standing
Yeah.
helps a lot. Hey. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's very nice. Hey, not bad.
No, it's nice.
It doesn't have too much of a burn.
Yes.
That burn you're talking about.
I got to one when I racked them off. I did a sneak taste, and it like the one it was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That face says it all.
Okay. So now what you kind of scoring
I'm
it?
just
The
scoring it
closest
just
to
for
is
fun,
probably
yeah.
closest to is the
The
lower.
worst, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Have a fruity one. Stick
that one's got quite a nice,
It's got a nice taste to it.
taste, yeah. So, but I still think it's not quite as nice as the first one.
It's interesting because you said the aroma on that one was also quite
Yes,
quite
and
good.
that
huh?
often would be the case. You get a better, but sometimes if it's gone past a certain level, the alcohol level might be quite high. So you might end up getting a good aroma, good taste, and then that of alcohol. So we haven't got that. That's quite nice. Yeah.
What do you think?
Got the very bitter aftertaste. That one almost tastes like a beer aftertaste. Hey? Not nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Like a beer?
Like a beer.
Wow. It's interesting to have a look and see.
That one was not nice.
That one will finish it off a bit better. No, that one's also very nice. Good overall flavor.
Like a smooth sweet.
That's quite smooth.
Which one is that?
The tea.
The tea.
So I would say the T and the S. So now we kind of, they were both quite nice. So I'm going to just grab my water quickly. You guys like some water? No?
I know which is my favorite.
The sweet one.
Right, we're back.
Okay, so we've just cleansed our palettes with some water, and we're going to actually start with this other one first, because sometimes if you start with the same one every time, you're starting with a clean palette. So I'm going to just do it opposite and just see.
Okay.
Oh, that was very pleasant.
That's nice.
Which one is that? The tea.
Tea?
Oh, I'm looking at the results here.
The S has definitely got a much more, there's a lot more going on in your mouth. You're not just tasting one flavor. It's got a little bit of like a,
That one is nice.
it's got that little bit of saltiness at the back and a bit of sour.
So would you say that the
I'd
S
say
is
the
better
S
than
is
the
better than the tea.
than the tea? Okay. So we can kind of put it in that order.
Yes, yeah, and then these are.
Okay. Very much the same. The O and the T.
No, also this one is a lot more alcohol tasting.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. You want to know what they are?
Yeah, let's see.
Okay.
So let's start at the end. This one with the X on it.
You're going to try and guess.
No.
So yes.
No.
So you know you've got basically brewer's yeast, the bread yeast, cider, champagne, and wine.
Well, which one was it that tasted quite a bit like beer? This one. I think that's the brewer's yeast.
Close. But not. That's bread yeast.
Bread yeast. Okay.
Yeah. But a lot of people do make
beer out of
Zulu
bread,
beer
yeah.
and stuff like that out of
Okay.
bread yeast.
So, yeah, it's difficult.
But keep it back in order. Which where was that? Number 2,
No,
second
two,
from the back,
second
huh?
from the back, yeah.
Yeah.
This back
Okay.
one here.
Let's go for that one. Just figure it out. Let's see. What do you guys think?
No, I've got not the slightest clue.
I think this one is the cider yeast.
What's that?
The
On
one
there?
with the X.
Yeah, spot on. That's
Is
it.
it?
Cider yeast.
Yes, please. Okay.
All
Then
right.
the O. I think this is the wine yeast.
What's that? The O?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Just take a
then I'm
taste
gonna
and
see. Maybe that's the brewer's yeast. It's very bitter. Got a very bitter aftertaste. Yeah, maybe that's the brewer's yeast.
yeah, that's correct. That's a
Okay.
brewer's yeast.
You good, eh?
We've got the bread yeast, the brewer's yeast. And then I'm going to say that S, I think, is the champagne yeast.
I think so too.
Because champagne yeast is supposed to make a sweeter mead.
So you're saying
I
X,
think S
S,
is the
the-
champagne yeast, and T is then must be the wine yeast.
the other way around.
Oh, really? Wow, that's so interesting.
So it's quite interesting because remember when I racked it off and you were away, I sent you the message saying the wine yeast is insane. So yeah, you've scored
there
it.
it is, yeah.
The S being the wine yeast, and it's
So-
a totally different compared to the last one, the one at the back.
So that's the cider yeast.
The
not
cider
great.
yeast. No ways at all. It's horrible,
Yeah, it's
isn't
gross.
it?
It tastes horrible.
And it's very alcoholic, isn't it?
Very alcoholic
Sharp.
and very bitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, wine yeast, champagne
Champagne.
yeast. As second.
But it's very close, hey?
But isn't it interesting how the bread and the brewer's yeast
Come
scored better
close.
than the cider yeast?
Yeah.
But the bread yeast was better even than the brewer's yeast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
But when we started with our mead, we started with bread yeast.
We only started, and even now still, we do a mixture of bread yeast and brewer's yeast.
Yeah, on our traditional
On our
sweet mead.
traditional
Yeah.
sweet meat, and that's always been our recipe.
Sure. So maybe we need to start. We'll try a batch with the wine.
but
Yeast.
what
See how
is
it comes out.
interesting about having these different ones, these are significantly sweeter than these two.
Yes.
Okay.
So we are, maybe the fact that we're adding more honey
Yeah.
compensates for that
Yeah.
lack of sweetness that you don't get from those.
Well, you could use less honey and just change the yeast.
You could.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
So,
Anyway.
fantastic. Well done. Thank you very
was
much.
that fun?
Yes.
Yeah, interesting.
Very interesting.
Cool.
Cool. Anyway, give us your comments. See what you guys think. Have you played around with different yeasts? What are your opinions? Share with us. Let's all learn from each other. Don't forget, we've got a mead course coming up. Check our website for details and our Facebook page. See you guys soon. Bye. Hello.
I'll tell you when you can go. Right. So we got.
Hello.
She's obviously had too many meat tasters.
Woo.
Woo.